Okay, I want to tell you about the day I had yesterday. I think, yeah, it was yesterday. So we were in social studies, ninth period, the other day, and my teacher's talking about date palms, these trees or something. And he's like, and he goes off top and he's talking about prom. And he's like, okay, like if you can't get a date to prom, go out and plant yourself a date palm, and you can grab that, and that's the only date you have. And I'm gonna yell, and he's like, that's probably the only date you're ever gonna have in your whole entire life. And I yell my ex-boyfriend's name really loud, and yeah. And then the next day, no. And then like 30 minutes later, oh, no, hold on. Not 30 minutes later. And then like a week before that, I think it was a week before that. Oh, that's a different story. Okay, here's a different story. Um, yeah, it was like the day. Okay, here's a different story. It's a story about I wanted to. So I was. It was like the fifth day I was gonna. Me and my boyfriend were going out. My current boyfriend right now, and we were going out. And it was like the fifth day we were going out. So I think February or something. Somewhere in February. It's still February, but whatever. And it was somewhere in like on Thursday or something. And I'm like, do you think I go to my friend Hannah? I'm like, do you think I should break up with them? And she's like, no, don't break up with him. It's like the only real boyfriend you had. And I'm like, what about Cam? And that's my ex-boyfriend's name. She's like, he does not count. Swishy counts. And I'm like, oh god. And if you're wondering who Swishy is, it's a nickname I gave to my boyfriend because he had swishy hair. And every time I like say that name, I crack up. This time I didn't. So here's a story where I made up that name for him. So we were in a lockdown, lunch lockdown. We're not in just a lockdown drill for lunch, and I was sitting with my friend Kaylee. So I'm like, my last name's like Kirby, so it starts with K, and it starts his like last name starts with the M, so we're like a table away. And I look over and I see him, and I see his hair. I automatically got attracted to his hair because it's all like flippy and stuff. And I go to my friend Kaylee. I'm like, OMG, look at that kid's hair. And she's like, dude. And I'm like, I know he has swishy hair. And she's like, you should call him that. I'm like, I shouldn't I? And we were going to lunch line, and I think it was like a couple people away from me. It was like 3 people away from me. And I start like, me and my friend Katie we were like, oh my god, he's right there. And my friend Serena's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, it's Swishy. She's like, who's Swishy? I'm like, shut up. And I'm like, that kid right there. And she's like, that kid, he's in my math class. And I'm like, oh my god, you're so lucky. And I'm like, and that's the story where I started calling him Swishy. And then one day, I was walking to the bus with my friend Hannah, and I was trying to tell her what he looked like because all she really saw was the back of his head. And she's like, I don't even know what the freaking kid looks like. All I saw was the back of his head. And I look, and I'm like, okay, fine. He has swishy hair. And she's like, I know he has swishy hair. And I look over, and it's him. And I yell, like my friend's like, she's still right beside me. And I yell, oh my god! She's like, what? I'm like, it's swishy. And then I'm like, oh my god. I think he looked over, and I just run. So I got so scared that he saw me. And then I think it was a couple days later. It was like the first day of February. So I know the date because it was on my messages. I was looking through my Facebook messages. And he messaged me. Where's my phone? Hold on. Where are you, phone? Hey, well, you're alive. And he messages me. He says he's like he's over at his friend's house. He's like I'm wondering if you would go out with me. I'm like, this is not him. Prove it. What do I call you? He's like, you call me Swishy. And this is like I'm skipping this line because it's rated R. Go down, you retard. And I'm like, oh my god, it is you. And I'm like, one question. Was I at recess with you near that weird pond thing? And he's like, yes, I was with this kid. I forget which kid it was. Like, I was with this kid. I'm like, oh my god, it's you, Swishy. He's like, yes, so will you please? I'm like, fine, I will. And then, like, the next day, people were like, the next day people found out. Because I told my friend Hannah, and Hannah told my friend Serena and Sarah. And Sarah, I love her to death, but she can just tell, and she just tells everything she hears. She told probably half the school with Serena. And everyone found out, and everyone's like going up to him and asking him for going out. And he would say no every time. And I got ticked off when he said that. Like, even though I said it was okay, I was still kind of mad. So, like, especially if you're watching this, I was mad that you said that. So, yeah. That happened, and then, like, next Wednesday, we'll be together for like a month, I think. Yeah, so I'm gonna try to put up a new video tomorrow too. Now, bye bye.